Good evening. It's exactly 8 p.m. here in our studios in Douala, and time for the news. Our top site, hearings of some people who took part during the January 26 protest march organized by the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party have been postponed for February 26. Some 25,000 contraband kiloliters of contraband fuel, commonly known as Zwazwa, has been impounded in the Adamawa region by the police. And some 26,000 pupils might not sit in for the French equivalent of the government common entrance and the first living certificate examinations in the far north region of Cameroon due to the lack of birth certificates. Developments will be yours right ahead. The hearing of some 15 people who marched during the January 26 protest march organized by the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party in the town of Yaoundé have been postponed for the 28th of February, and this is the second time that their hearing is being postponed. Details of what happened exactly today at the military court in Yaoundé with Beatrice Gamo.
The Yaoundé Court of First Instance this Friday morning as the 15 detained CRM white marchers came before the judges. When MRC lawyers wanted to defend Ngono Belibi out of the others, that solicited over 20 minutes discussion and the hearings postponed for the second time for Monday, February 18, 2019. In-depth debate will begin to know if these Yaoundé marchers are guilty of the charges levied against them. 3 in all: marching without authorization, marching to disturb public officials, and public order. Last January 26, 2019 in Yaoundé.
Notre devoir des avocats.
Our duty as lawyers is to examine the points so that Monday morning we demonstrate that it is purely a political matter and not judicial, and that the intention of the Yaoundé regime is to stifle political opponents.
Museler un adversaire politique.
The CRM termed the January 26 Act a peaceful march in Yaoundé and other towns of the country, but question why those detained in Yaoundé are referred to a civil tribunal for simple correction acts, but those who did same in other towns are being sent to military tribunals in Yaoundé for insurrection and hostilities against the fatherland.
Ça démontre simplement que l'idée qu'il y a dans la tête de ceux qui nous gouvernent, c'est de décapiter le MRC. Comment on comprend que pour les mêmes faits, le même jour, certains soient devant un tribunal civil et d'autres devant un tribunal militaire? Pourquoi prendre les gens à Bafoussam, à Chang, à Yaoundé, pour Yaoundé, alors qu'il y a des tribunaux militaires compétents dans ces villes?
This notwithstanding, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement says they are very confident. Rendezvous is next Monday, 8:30 a.m., awaited by all, especially the population who came out to support the detained militants.
Opposition political leaders in Cameroon say they are presently calling for the unconditional release of Professor Maurice Kamto, describing it as a mere provocation. The leaders say they don't feel intimidated and they will keep on pressing until he is released. D. Morin tells us more.
The arrest and incarceration of Professor Maurice Kamto and co. at the Kondengame Maximum Prison in Yaoundé continues to attract condemnation from the opposition political party leaders. Honorable Jean-Michel Nincho of the Social Democratic Front Party condemns with his last energy the detention and says it is a signal of more bleak days ahead.
Oui, extrêmement scandalisé que le professeur Maurice Kamto, qui est quand même arrivé deuxième à l'élection présidentielle.
Except one. It's scandalous, I would say shocking to an extent. This is Professor Maurice Kamto we are talking about. Someone who came second in the last presidential election. This according to official results. He is the main challenger. It's really shocking that he was caught like a thief and taken to prison like a thief and placed under pre-trial detention. And when you look at the charges, The talk of insurrection, I don't even know what's all about. This is a man who organized a peaceful protest, but they claim it was illegal. Meanwhile, he had dropped documents for government to approve his peaceful march. Today, they are making him sound an if to say it was illegal. We condemn this.
Elle n'a pas été déclarée. Mais ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que quand bien même cette manifestation était déclarée, la réponse était connue d'avance, à savoir qu'elle allait être interdite.
The president of the Cameroon's People's Party, Edith Kawala, calls on Cameroonians and the opposition to mobilize and fight for what is rightfully theirs. She has called on Cameroonians to dress in black and denounce happenings around the country.
When you arrest people who are acting non-violently, who are protesting as allowed to by the Constitution of Cameroon, you have arrested all of us. You have stepped on the liberties of all of us.
Barrister Ash of the CPDM party has this opinion.
First reaction is that this thing no longer has any link with politics. It has now become a legal issue. And the question that we should ask is, has he committed an offense? Okay, if he has committed an offense, what should be the consequences? And if he has not committed an offense, why is he under detention? To the best of my knowledge, I gather that Kamto and the others have been indicted on a 7-count charge, including insurrection and rebellion, and I think destruction. And if those offenses, if there's a prima facie case, every state council or military or civilian will be under the obligation of keeping such a person under detention and to do further investigation to establish a prima facie case or not, because when you are put on a decision, it doesn't mean you're guilty. It means, in certain circumstances, it means investigation is going on.
He claims procedure was respected and no one can talk of violations of the laws in place.
Pre-trial detention has its own technicalities. For example, the forces of law and order can keep you for 48 hours. And thereafter, it is supposed to be authorized by a military state council or a civilian state council. If that is not done, then it becomes illegal. Because you know, the state council, when you renew your detention, they don't have a time limit. But it just has to be reasonable. And what is reasonable is now discretionary. The law has given them that discretion.
Honorable Jean-Michel Nincho of the AZF says the opposition is mobilizing as one body to confront the regime in place in the days ahead.
C'est ce que nous sommes en train de faire, c'est ce que je suis en train de faire. Je crois que de nombreuses voix dans l'opposition se sont élevées pour condamner, n'est-ce pas, cette arrestation et pour exiger la libération.
That's what we are trying to do. We are mobilizing like one body to speak in one voice. The opposition leaders are talking, we are concerting. We are demanding a conditional release of Professor Maurice Kamto. We have our actions that we are going to carry out in the days ahead, any moment from now. I'm not the only one in the AZF condemning this. Other AZF scribes have equally condemned this.
Il y a d'autres camarades qui ont, qui sont montés au créneau pour demander qu'ils soient libérés très très rapidement.
Now, what are the consequences? What are the risks? Now they are in calling it, and what next?
What next?
What's going to happen?
It is now the matter may either be transferred, is going to be transferred to an examining magistrate who is a judge, who is going to have extensive powers to carry out investigation. I see one of the offenses, they say complicity in some destruction. It means some property was destroyed somewhere. And if my memory is very right, the embassies that were destroyed were considered part of his movement. Okay. You know, offenses committed out of the country by a national is punishable in Cameroon. So,
which means that you must stay in prison for a very long time.
So while investigating, because I'm sure they have to establish the link between the offenses for which he's accused and himself. It has to be this issue of imputability. Who has the responsibility of what has happened? And things like that.
Which means he can be sentenced?
Not yet. Investigation will go on for at most 12 months while waiting trial. 1 year while waiting trial. It's thereafter that they may decide to send his matter to court for trial proper, or he will be discharged when they realize that the offenses are not founded.
And if he's found guilty? So
if they, no, now it's not the issue of guilty. Okay. It's the issue of determining if there was a prima facie case against him, in the sense that there's some proof beyond reasonable doubt that he must have committed offenses for which he was charged, for which he's charged. If not, if the state council cannot, or the examining magistrate who is asked to carry out the further investigation cannot establish that, they will normally have to release him. But if it is proven on the contrary that the facts are so clear and he's responsible, or there's a prima facie case against him, they will transfer the matter.
It was a lengthy one there from D. Morinti. And in line with the current socio-political atmosphere in Cameroon, today has been described as Black Friday by members of the Cameroon People's Party, the CPP. And on social media, some Cameroonians showed solidarity by putting on black, saying no to violence, yes to dialogue, and the respect of human rights. Once more, D. Morin.
It's visibly a Black Friday on the social media. The campaign has gone viral. These Cameroonians have chosen to dress in black as a sign of rejection of the violation of fundamental freedoms by the regime in place. Others say they are dressed in black against arbitrary arrest. Other postings read, "We are against human rights abuse," and say no to any form of violations. On the streets of Douala, it is a contrary image portrayed by Cameroonians, while some people surmount fear by dressing in black, which they say they are against bad governance, others simply dress in brighter colors, completely ignorant of the Black Friday campaign instilled by Cameroon's People's Party. The president, Edith Kawala, is quite satisfied with a few who are conscious.
You know, we see only those who are really engaged in the movement, who are wearing black. We are happy to see more people than usual on a Friday wearing black, but we are far from what we want to see on a Friday is a sea of black. That when you step out of your gate, you step out of your door, you see Cameroonians in black in such a way that you ask yourself, what is going on? People need to understand we must protest, and we have a violent government in front of us. We know we are ready to march anytime, but we know that Cameroonians still have to build up that courage. Wearing your black on Friday is a way to build up that courage.
Asking if the Cameroonian society is not a docile type.
We are the docile type as such, because what have we seen this week? Bike riders went crazy in Yaoundé when one of them was killed. Market traders were in direct confrontation with police in the central market in Yaoundé. Mbopi market here has had tensions this week. So people are very tense, and they are even in a situation where the country can explode. But we should be careful. Bringing about constructive change means joining an organized movement. having violence just explode in any kind of direction is dangerous for all of us, not just for the regime, but for all of us. So this is why we call and we continue to call Cameroonians to structure and organize the movement.
Kawala says although not all opposition leaders have condemned the arrest and detention of Maurice Kamto and the crisis in Northwest and Southwest regions, negotiations are on for a common strategy for the opposition to fight back the regime.
In recent times, there has been lots of cruelty in human acts, degenerating treatment or punishment as a result of the crisis in most Francophone African countries. Countries are being called upon to understand the Convention Against Torture and the respect of human rights, as we hear in this report with Beatrice Ngamu.
Deliberately inflicting severe physical and psychological suffering on someone by another as punishment, or in order to fulfill some desire of the torturer, or force some actions from the victims in the name of torture, common phenomenon in most Francophone African countries today, condemned by the Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment or punishments. They need to check these actions raising for the project on torture prevention in Francophone African countries to get clear-cut information and recommendations, especially as
many people think any type of violence is torture, but any type of violence is not torture. And we wanted people to appropriate themselves to get to know what the Convention Against Torture is talking about in terms of prevention of torture.
They aim to prevent this around the world. So after 2 years of studies in some 7 African countries, the result was made public to these countries and authorities in Cameroon this February 15th in Yaoundé.
There are many results, and those results will be accompanied by recommendations that we would like to share with our various administrations in charge of following up the activities on the prevention of torture in Cameroon and in the other countries of the sub-region.
Recommendation includes sensitization campaign, inclusion of training manuals for the prevention of torture to the forces of law and order, and the creation and development of a focal point for vulnerable persons in detention centers. The overall vision is for all to prevent torture, bring all those involved to justice, and for the victims to obtain redress.
A gang of 6 has been apprehended in Tibati by the gendarmes today. They had with them 2 human skulls freshly exhumed. As of now, investigations have been opened to find out if they are hostage takers or human part traffickers. We will bring you more information on this in the days ahead. We remain in this part of the country where an important consignment of contraband fuel has been seized by the police. The fuel, over 25,000 liters, was today handed to the Adamawa Regional Committee for the fight against petroleum fraud. This report with Crystal Katala.
These goods from a neighboring country were apprehended by the police in Bay. 81 drums of 200 liters and 381 gallons of 25 liters each, a total of 25,700 liters of contraband fuel, commonly called Zoazoa. We have deployed police officers in the town of Mbe who successfully laid hands on this contraband fuel. It's mafia, but we did not get the person behind this. A regional delegation of national security where the good was stored. The regional committee for the fight against petroleum fraud took immediate action. The goods have to be transferred to SCDP, and the governor has asked us to auction the goods. While the police is optimistic to lay hands on the traffickers, this seizure brings the figure to 30,500 liters taken off the road in Gaoundéré since January, and doubles the total figure of 2018 that stands at 13,000 according to the police.
Management of companies, small and medium-sized enterprises and businesses in Douala have been educated on the importance of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. The managers and business students met in Douala during a forum that was organized by the United Nations in partnership with the Cameroon Employers Cartel. This report with Amber Gladys Ndiban.
Seen as the key towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals for Cameroon, members of the private sectors are being drilled on how they could grab opportunities through the 17 objectives of the Sustainable Development Goals.
The United Nations is here with GICAM in Douala for our first consultation on how business and how the private sector can contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, which is an agenda for sustainable development in every country and around the world, for peace, for prosperity, to fight inequality and address some of the root causes of conflict and insecurity that are also present in Cameroon. So we're very thankful to GICAM for bringing so many business partners together. The government is engaged in the SDG agenda, but as we know from all around the world, the government alone cannot achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
The participants meeting at the headquarters of the Employers Cartel GICAM in Douala are also discussing and exchanging ideas on the different ways through which businesses can be committed to resolving global problems of health, employment, security, education, agriculture, housing and gender equality, as well as the environment and energy.
I think we're looking at many different issues, whether it's corruption or environmental impact of businesses or the kind of labor standards that different, or who do you employ, is there discrimination in the workforce? All of these are issues that we would like to engage.
According to the head of the United Nations systems in Cameroon, if taken into consideration, the Sustainable Development Goals could generate revenues close to $1.1 billion and 85 million jobs by 2030.
The first time that we have the opportunity to be present at such an event, maybe we will learn how we can benefit for all those what will be told here today.
The 193 member states of the United Nations, including Cameroon, adopted the 2030 Development Agenda and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in September 2015. They are aimed at eliminating extreme poverty, building partnerships, and spurring economic growth around the world.
Preparations ahead of 2019 World Consumer Day, built for March 15, have started, and the National Chamber of Consumers wants this year to effectively address the plight of consumers as well as equip consumers with skills to effectively defend their rights. Christelle Katala.
Like every year, the Cameroon National Chambers of Consumers is getting set for the 32nd edition of World Consumers' Rights Day to be celebrated on March 15. Organizers want to make sure this edition addresses consumers' plight and empower them with skills to defend their rights.
We are here today to prepare the event will take place on the 15th March 2019. And it's a great moment for us because we will deal with companies and as organization of consumers in Cameroon, we are very engaged in that purpose, and usually at this period we are too busy, and we try to organize this event because in the world is the moment consumers have to be focused on what they are consuming and to let people know, to let the companies, the producer know that they really need quality product and to, let's say, to be able to consume what they need.
Representatives of companies invited who have to present exposés on themes related to consumers' rights, namely National Communication Council and its action plan, norms and quality, role of digital economy on the protection of consumers, amongst others. Ahead of the D-Day, sport walk, free screening campaigns, football competition, tasting and exhibition will be organized. The occasion will be crowned on the 15th of March by a gala night, during which awards will be given to best companies.
A special youth fund known as the Agro-Business Capital Fund has been instituted by the International Fund for Agricultural Development in its effort to enhance food security in developing countries. According to IFAD president, the fund is to make agriculture enticing to youths. He told journalists at a training on the sidelines of the 42nd IFAD Governing Council in Rome. Our very own Regina Leke Fonja Tandang is taking part in this training holding in Rome and now reports.
They are all journalists drawn from different countries undergoing a training program of the Thomson Reuters Foundation on rural poverty and agricultural development. Meeting with the journalists on the first day of their training, the president of IFAD, Gilbert Humboldt, said he believes that agriculture remains a decent way of living, but insists there is a need to make the sector more attractive to the youths.
Particularly in low and low-income countries and lower middle-income countries, and some pocket of resistance in the upper middle-income countries. I do think that agriculture remains a decent way of living, in creating own SMEs and can generate even job not only from self but also from other youngsters. But to make that happen, today, I'm almost going to ask you, how many of you are dreaming of becoming farmers? You see, very likely no. You see, so what does that mean? And that's almost not funny, because every time I've been to places and I ask that question, so far cumulatively in 2 years I've had 3 people.
And for this reason, the IFAD boss announced the launching of an agri-phone which, according to him, will boost agricultural productivity, especially in low-income countries.
By tackling the hardship side, using technology, a technology that is affordable by the youth, and also open up to access to the finance to be able to have loans. This is why a year ago we decided to create ABC, the Agri-Business Capital Fund that has been launched on Friday. And so I am a firm believer that this is one of the ways that to provide answer to the youth in low-income countries like Cameroon.
Mr. Humboldt also added at the press briefing that interested youth groups would have access to technical assistance so as to come up with sustainable and profitable agricultural projects. More than 60% of the world's population depend on agriculture for survival. But the sector is today faced by a multitude of problems, including climate change that has caused productivity to dwindle. As the world looks forward towards achieving zero hunger by 2030, such youth fund, it is hope, can promote food security and steer rural communities out of poverty. The training workshop funded by the International Fund for Agricultural Development is taking place on the sidelines of the 42nd General Council meeting of IFAD that's taking place here in Rome, and is being held under the theme Rural Innovation and Entrepreneurship. I'm Regina Leke reporting from Rome, Canal English.
Well, that's Regina Leke Fonja Tandang reporting there from Rome. The people in Douala have begun visiting the Douala Maritime Museum to acquaint themselves with maritime activities in an exhibition to mark the 70th anniversary of the International Maritime Organization. Amber Gladys Zibang has equally visited the museum and now reports.
It is a historic moment for Cameroon as the Douala Maritime Museum opens an international exhibition dubbed Traveling Expo IMO 70 as part of celebrations to mark the International Maritime Organization's 70th anniversary.
Yeah, the IMO, International Maritime Organization, is 17 years. So what we can say is that is a big victory for us, for the President of the Republic, because the Maritime Museum of Douala have been chosen to host this exhibition. And it's a pleasure for me to say that our country, Cameroon, was the only country selected in Africa for this exhibition. That means that we have a good place in IMO, and also that our museum is recognized in the international scene.
The exhibition that takes place under the theme IMO 70, Our Heritage, Better Shipping for a Better Future, will permit the public to gain knowledge of activities of the International Maritime Organization and its challenges from February 14 to March 31, 2019.
The main challenge is sensibilization of the operator and of the authorities also, because you have the problem of safety, you have the problem of security, you have a problem of immigration, which is well known, and you have also the problem of protection of the environment.
Stakeholders in the maritime sector, including the Cameroon National Shippers Council, have been discussing the necessity to improve transport maritime systems.
Shipping is very important all around the world for Cameroon and for the US, for example, and so to have the chance to celebrate its ties, to increase the awareness of Cameroon, to participate in programs that contribute to the safety and security of all shipping, all commerce on the seas, to the protection of the environment.
The International Maritime Organization's traveling exhibition has been hosted in 10 countries of the world as part of the celebration of the 70th anniversary of the International Maritime Organization. Cameroon, which is the last lap of this world tour, is the only African country chosen to host the exhibition after Canada, the United States, Great Britain, Chile, Brazil, Finland, Italy, Poland, China, and Australia.
There are fears some 26,000 pupils might not sit in for the French equivalent of the government common entrance and the fiscal living certificate examinations this 2019 in the far north region due to the lack of birth certificates, according to UNICEF. In a bid to remedy this situation, sensitization and mobilization are on the field, as we hear in this report with Beatrice Gamo.
By the end of March 2019, over 26,000 pupils in the far north region of Cameroon will not register the concours d'entrée en sixième and also the examen d'études primaires, the equivalents of the common entrance and first school living certificates respectively. The document is on course and will be over soon, explains this official, as they are waiting first for the audience to establish them. A worrying situation: 338,455 pupils from class 1 to 5 do not have birth certificates in the far north. The region has only 43% of registered births. At the government primary school Baigai 1 and 2, in the Mayo Sanaga division, only 36 class 5 and 6 pupils are in possession of birth certificates, as against 43 who are not identified. The pupils put up the lack of means by parents, and that the parents do not go to school while they do not see the need to send them to school also. At the Kodek Health Center Makwa 3, to understand more at this other post of the phenomenon. Firstly, most women do not deliver in hospital, and secondly, they do not declare their births on time. Since January, no births have been registered here, but for 5 declarations. Despite the sensitization campaign by the different parties, some parents have been swindled at the civil status office, which are even few. Others have forgotten the precious documents at the centers for years. The situation in the far north region of Cameroon remains a major preoccupation.
Cable image provider Free Africa hits Fomaric Festival grounds with handsome offers. With more than 150 TV channels to match, Free Africa is ready to give satisfaction to its customers, as we get from this advertorial.
Pauline is the proprietor of a stand at the Fomaric Festival ground in Douala. In order to give her customers the best, she has acquired Free Africa bouquet for quality images. With more than 150 TV channels available on its network, Free Africa provides satellite images to the satisfaction of its customers. Accessible even to the most underprivileged, Free Africa gives its subscribers unlimited access to TV channels in Francophone Africa and beyond the continent.
Using Free Africa, we've got tremendous advantages. First and foremost, you can have Free Africa, on the sub-Saharan, on Central Africa, Gabon, Guinea, Equatorial Guinea, Senegal, wherever you go, okay, no matter where you are. You can be in villages, you're going to get Free Africa. And the advantage with Free Africa as well is we got, our prices are cost effective. No matter your social, no matter your class, you will eventually, find your, an opportunity to watch images at a reduced rate. So at the end of the day, Free Africa is really advantageous for anyone, no matter your social group. So it's pretty much, advisable to get the product.
Free Africa kits are available at the Fomaric Festival Village at Kamtel Bipanda at affordable prices.
Cameroon's biggest international trade exhibition, Promote, opens tomorrow for its 7th edition. It will be a moment to showcase Cameroon's business prowess under the theme Business and Sustainable Development. This report.
Touches here and there, common sounds, that of hammer, nail, like saws at work. The finished work, this picture of Canal Day International stand at the Promote site, situated at the esplanade of the Yaoundé Conference Center. Some are already in their colors. The styles and the look, another marketing strategy. Working like cleaning goes to reduce the dirt around. Wiring like air conditioner already on position. The message is clear. Welcome at Promote 2019. Like the different exhibitors, the Promote Secretariat already at work. These for final modalities.
Like you can see, we are a few hours to the kickoff of Promote. Today is the 15th of February. This is the Secretariat of Promote, and is the place that plants the decor for the kickoff of Promote. We are here, you can see we are organized in decks. You have the national decks, you have the international decks, you have the one for SMEs. In short, every sector is arranged. Now we are receiving exhibitors from far and near. When they come here, we orientate them. They go through the decks. We are doing final modalities, administrative modalities, to help them know if their badges are out, to help them give them documentation that they require for Promote, and to situate the site where they are. For now, preparation level, you can say we are top, we are just waiting. People are coming, and for the general population, we are waiting. This year, we shall be expecting about 120,000 visitors at Promote site.
Their expectation, like that of the exhibitors and visitors, high for this 7th edition that opens doors tomorrow, Saturday, February 16th, for Cameroon's biggest international trade exhibition, Christians Promote. And this till February 24th under the theme Business and Sustainable Development.
This advertorial brings us to the end of the newscast tonight on Canal English. Thanks for watching and have a blessed weekend.